Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo, and this is a curveball. It's Monday, and I am here for Retro Monday OVAdrive. I considered restarting Manga Monday today, but I realized that I don't really have like a poll result in order to do that in any consistent way. And as I started to like troll through the backlog of them, I realized that I kind of need to do a poll if I'm going to do something like that. But there is a series on this channel that I've been able to do without polls, with nothing but my own intuition and desire to watch fun, interesting things that I haven't seen before, that I've maybe heard of in the ether somewhere and thought about watching but never gotten around to. Especially older things, things that have slipped under the radar or been a little too artsy and a little bit too weird to be popular. I've got a fondness for those types of shows, and one of the places they end up percolating into is right here on Monday, on Retro Monday OVAdrive. So I pulled up the old set of responses that I got from people giving me a bunch of recommendations for things to throw into Retro Monday OVAdrive, having expanded the time frame for OVAdrive to include the early 2000s, when previously I had a hard, like, 2000 is the limit, and we're not going beyond that. Well, some years have passed since then, so now we're going to expand that limit up a little bit, because what is retro is now a while ago, and what's a while ago is now when I was a kid, which is weird to me. But what it means is there are a whole bunch of early 2000s shows that now sort of show up on the list for Retro Monday OVAdrive, and I've been excited about them. We watched the Transformers movie, which is entirely not that, but was a whole bunch of fun, and then I just sort of let it sit, and I haven't been able to turn my attention to Retro Monday OVAdrive since. Part of the fault of that is my own, because I rolled for it, and I pulled up the film Metropolis, and I'm scared of it. I'm scared of that movie. It seems big and like important and stuff, and I don't want to fuck it up. Which is so silly and so like psychologically silly of me to withhold that from myself, but it is the way that it is, and I've been staring down Metropolis like I'm staring down the barrel of a gun for like months now, and that's no way to go about this. So I've got to throw a curveball and do something different. So I pulled up the list in a fit of inspiration this morning, and I rolled again, and I rolled La Portrait de Petit Cossette. I tried. La Portrait de Petite Cossette. I can't French, it turns out. Or Cossette no Shozo. I know precisely one thing about this 3-episode OVA, and that is that it is directed by Akiyuki Shinbo. And I'm now going to discover and determine whether it is the first thing directed by Akiyuki Shinbo, because I have a hunch that that might be correct. So I'm going to go look that up now. I don't want to read any of the stuff about it. I don't care. All I care about is Akiyuki Shinbo. Not his debut, because he was also doing The Soul Taker. Oh, no, yeah, was directing stuff on Yu Yu Hakusho, was working on all sorts of shit and doing episode direction. Left all of the organization. Okay, so his work on The Soul Taker, the show, the big show that seems to be before this in 2001, is scattered and focused on Shinbo's artistic insanity. Then he works on a number of hentai series and short video spin-offs and music videos. Then Masatoshi Fujimoto is looking for an auteur to make series with. They start working together based on Shinbo's work on episode 74 of Yu Yu Hakusho. They planned to make a work based on Devilman, but instead bore Le Portrait de Petit Cossette. A series which in many ways is kind of like doomed by being artsy. At least that's my perspective on it from the outside. You do an artistic interpretation of Devilman, and you're Masaaki Yuasa in the Netflix era, right? But you do an artistic interpretation of The Portrait of a Girl, and nobody knows what the fuck you're making, and probably isn't like super. It's not super grabby, you know. This isn't like a big anime series that really gets your attention, and it also doesn't have the backing of being something really important beforehand getting adapted. There are no hooks in this thing. It's kind of like, it seems as milquetoast as it could be, and as bland as it could be, and a very strange place to try to, like, get your career going. The Soul Taker from 3 years earlier seems much more likely a thing to explode and become cool. But it does seem like an absolute art project for the sake of being an art project. And I have a feeling that that's exactly what it's about. I think we're going to end up looking at one of these things where we get an extraordinarily auteur artistic director really getting to show that before he refines himself into something that's actually mass marketable. Because Akiyuki Shinbo has become the head of Studio Shaft and this mass market appeal director, but really he's very strange in his sensibilities and visual storytelling. So I'm quite curious about this interaction. Several previous collaborators, the writer Mayuri Sekijima, the animation studio DOM, art director Junichi Higashi, and first time Hisaharu Iijima works with him, and his first time working with composer Yuki Kajiura, which would be crucial for everything going here. So Masatoshi Fujimoto was specifically looking for an auteur director, and he specifically used Cossette as a vessel to show him as an auteur, to bring him to the foreground. Shinbo described his previous works as self-centered, but he wanted Cossette to be accessible to the public and engage with the world. Then comes Tsukiyomi Moonphase and Shaft and whoosh, Panty Pony Dash, and it just goes from there. I need to know more about this. I need to go and revisit. I think the place where I fucking learned about this show in the first place, which was a video from when Trixie was Digi about the history of Akiyuki Shinbo as a director. I think I need to go back and revisit that. But right now, I'd like to get my feet wet and actually dive into some of that direction and stuff instead of just being stuck here in the criticism and the observation of it. I want to actually engage with the piece of media itself and see what the director is telling me. So let's go ahead and do that, I suppose. I have gone and downloaded 3 different versions of Le Portrait de Petit Cossette off of Nya, and then gone through them and tried to determine which of them is the best for my purposes, and I have decided that the one with the most downloads, Cry's version, is the best for my purposes. There's a Blu-ray 1080p rip that looks no better to me and seems to have worse subs. There's a DVD 480p rip that looks worse and seems to have slightly better subs, but right in the middle is this BD 720p rip that seems to have pretty good subs, and people seem to like it. So I'm going to watch that one. It looks good to me. Probably if you've seen this, you watched it on a fucking VHS tape or a DVD at 480p and have your own vision of what it looks like. I'm going to experience this version. And if it's not the ideal version, so be it. That's part of the lottery of the whole thing, is that you get to experience what you end up being able to find and see. And this is what I've got to experience. I've wanted to watch this since I heard about it. I'm interested in Akiyuki Shinbo as a director, and maybe more importantly, I'm interested in directors. I'm interested in creative people, especially in that time before they find exactly what their voice is going to be. There's something alive and vibrant about a plant like springing to life before it understands what being a tree really is like and gets sort of set in its ways, you know? I think I have a vision of who Shinbo is, and that vision includes great creativity, genuinely, the ability to create new things and change and adapt and surprise me is one of the things that I find most intriguing about Shinbo's work, especially throughout the Monogatari series, is a continuous ability to be surprising. How surprising will this young man in a much earlier era be? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. So, let's go ahead and dive into episode 1, and we're just going to watch episode 1 today, because there are 3, of Cossette no Shoujo from 2004. I've got the Cry version, a Blu-ray BD 720p up and ready to go, and there will be 2 versions of this reaction video. A picture-in-picture version with the video up there, linked in the description down there, and a timer-based version up here on YouTube, which you can sync up your own copy of the episode with when the beep, 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 and that's when you should hit the button. Beep, beep timer. Let's go. Oh yeah, I have a Patreon, and you can get early access to stuff, which is a little bit weird when I'm, like, fucked and inconsistent and not uploading videos the way that I should be, but at some point I will be uploading videos much more consistently, and either way, early access and supporting the channel is available via the Patreon, and is immensely appreciated, because I don't really have anything else, and even if I'm struggling at doing this, it is the thing that I care about the most in the entire world. So the fact that there are other people who care about it is like the thing that keeps me going in a lot of ways, and I really appreciate it. Let's watch some fucking anime. Let's find out what this director 21 years ago now tried to put into this show that was made to be auteurish, but also accessible. It's a strange combination, but I'm excited to see what a person who I genuinely believe to be brilliant did in order to accomplish those strange tasks. Beep beep timer. Who would love me so much that would cast aside his own precious life? That's like God. God so loved the world. So if someone were to love you enough, is this the portrait speaking? Oh, because the person who loved you so much. It's okay. Very Romeo Juliet. Love, sacrifice, return. He's a skull. Why is he the skull? He's pretty girl. Why is skull? No. Whoa. Whoa. Fuck you. Fuck you. All right, Shinbo. I see you. Okay. We're already going very like fisheye. Whoa. Snippety crackety. Fuck off. We're just in the reflections? Is this person behind the glasses observing? Wow, yeah, I can really feel the Shinbo. Can you feel the Shinbo? I can feel the Shinbo. It's so amazing that his stylistic eye is so visible. And we're detached from it too by the camera, by being this far away from it. And we're snapping to other things, we're framing people out of frame. God damn! It's like I'm back in Monogatari! Huh. Eh? Hmm. Oh, is he in love with the painting? My guy's in love with a painting. That's what this is. That's why we had the monologue at the beginning. Fuck. That was time passing? Green. We're already in green lights, in green walks! Shinbo! That's Kajura, right? Like, who else? This is wild. I'm really excited to be watching this. I gotta tell ya. I'm really excited. This is wonderful. It's already these empty cityscapes and they're almost Shinkai-y, but darker, way less shiny stuff. Oh. I love seeing through his eyes. They're posters of him? Am I reading that wrong? They feel like they're posters of him. And people become faceless. Wow. There's a piece of this that harkens to a different auteur that feels more like it's in the vein of Utena, you know? That feels more like it's in Ringo, 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 like Mawaru Penguin Drum. Honestly, no. I know what it feels like. It feels like, of course it feels, Magical Girls. It feels exactly like Magical Kajiro on the soundtrack. Similar visuals, visual language. Madoka. Magical Girls. Sorry for using so much of my voice to like just try to pin down what the fuck I'm experiencing. That's all I've been able to think of in this first set of moments. What? He's talking to the glass? It's the glass? I was expecting it to be a painting. Whoa. Whoa. I'm gonna turn it up slightly. Ah. This is an interesting scene. Just cut in there. Oh, he feels like he's been caught. Framing's all skewed. Oh. Is like there a spirit bound into this fucking cup? Because she said all this shit about being in a stone. We're sort of seeing this story at the same time. Whoa. Harsh. Like intrusive harsh. At least not real ones. The expressions are very Yuasa-y. Yeah, I'm sorry for keeping relating this to other things. But what a strange experience. When he's looking through the phone camera, why? There's this detachment from everything. Pulled away. Beautiful too. Hmm. It was beautiful. I would also want my father to not show up in the shower. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hey. So if you start believing it's real, it will be real? It's a little spooky. I guess that's the idea. Why does he keep recording things? Oh, through the glass. Everything has been through lenses, huh? Or given the impression of. And then we're hiding in places and observing. Kawaii on there. He's worried that he's broken. I would be too if I was hearing voices and... Oh my god. All thanks to the Buddha's protection. Does she want him? That is what it is, huh? Oh wow, we're really distressed now. We're really focused in. What the fuck? So he speaks in real anger. Just about be murder. It's not a glass. It's something more. Oh, these like stained glass. Whoa, tarot. Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this? Is she the girl on the corner of the bakery who has the sixth sense? Oh, it's not about the merchandise. And it's their shadows talking. It's their shadows talking. Whoa. Didn't something strange happen? Like when she drank from it? Or when she dropped it? All through the glass. Yes, this fucking shiny... Oh, whoa, we got a tilt! We got a tilt, baby! Alright. His voice, his visual language is fully developed. Like, it's all there. I want to go watch The Soul Taker. I gotta go back further. Lenses for everything. I can't. Mirrors for everything. A set of glassware. Holy fuck, 4 million. Yeah, but what if it's like... Oh shit. So is this where he started? Yeah. Whoa, that is a lot of eyes on your stuff. I'm fully locked in. This is haunting and awesome. Oh. We're using CG. Early. I think that works for this dream space situation, the same way that it does in Madoka Magica. We get subtitles with no full voice. So strange. Or maybe the timing is off. Whoa. But just that one? So that's why you went to the doctor. Wow. There are portions of dialogue that give us text, but no dialogue. It's very strange. It makes me think something's broken, but I actually don't think it is. But it really is reflecting him. A spirit locked in stone? Ah! He just spends all day staring at the glass, wondering at this mystery. We use stoplights as heartbeats? That's so cool. Are those train lights? Ah! Boom, boom. Whoa, it's floating. Did my guy just get troned? Well, this really reads as, like, perfect blue. In fact, exactly like... Whoa. That sounds like it's his voice. Looks like it's him, too. I don't think he did, but I think someone did and you're living it. This is one of those, like, it's like an Edgar Allan Poe mystery thing. Where, like, the murder has happened and been attached, and spirits and animism and the darkness of the human spirit lives on and stuff. Oh, and the eyes on the walls bleed. Yeah! Yeah! What the fuck? Who's that? That's a different girl. Drink this, you have the right? And so he drinks. To avoid losing the chance at answers? Or, in a dream sense, to attached? Yeah. Okay. What the fuck? Yeah. Totally makes... Nope. Oh, is that her? At the deli? Cool effect. Cool effect like number 10, but cool effect. More of them than customers? Ghosts? Spirits? Yeah, henna no kana. Yeah. God, they appeared out of nowhere. Domo. Wow. What? Whoa. The thought plickens. That was what was said. Right before he plunged the blade into her. He's you, dude. He's you. He's you. You're drawing into the past. That's what this bullshit is. What is this? What is this with the bamboo? Oh, they're all following it. I wonder who are these like spirit watchers. Wow, this is like identical to a bunch of the smexy scenes in Monogatari. Even with the stained glass stuff too. And with the drain stuff too. These are images that he's used again. They're like part of his repertoire. It's so interesting. What the fuck? Oh, this is the lady. Oh, framing. Papa. She's so mad at everyone who's pretty. Kekko desu. And now that little girl is standing in his shadow. That's her. Can we not leave this with them? Is that what's gonna happen? If we do, is she like stuck here? Gothic and Lolita. Ah. Hey man, you can just have my wallet. I don't need it. Whoa! Whoa. She did get murdered. What the fuck? Awesome with the shadows. She's observing again. Whoa. But this is a dream again. Or have we gone there? Have we gone there tonight? Everything is ringing and resonating with all of the glass. Oh my god, what the fuck? Pierced and attacked by blood. Is that him now? Whoa. Well, we got our Devilman elements. Oh my god, and our fucking Monogatari elements. He goes toward her. And passes right through a monster. Oh, the first action she's taken. And disgust, I read. The skull flashes. What? So we're in a frozen moment as a devil man guy of our guy leaps toward Cossette, and she drops the chalice. And this is what we get. I think these CG spaces are a perfect use for CG. I'm really stunned by them being this early. Whoa. Deliverance to the souls of the cursed antiques? I want this series. I want this to be an ongoing series. That man's soul? So his soul became a demon? Dope. As are we all. Yeah, so Araragi a lot. Uh... You will not even be allowed to run away? He sheds his demon skin. That's why he drank the blood in the first place. Yeah, Gothic and Lolita, indeed. The contract of blood? You must not run. Is it the darkness? It is. It's soul poison that he didn't even know was in him. Oh, he's the rebirth of him. Oh, he is cursed in some way. So then why did he, the original, kill her if he loved her so much? If it was such an intolerable pain to do it, then why did he? That's our mystery, isn't it? Wait, hold on. Hold on, there are 2 more episodes. You can't go now. Looks like we're going now. But this is the manor that's burning down, right? Not the antique store? Whoa. So you are born the inheritor of a murderer's soul and fate, but also inheritor of his love and connection. Doomed, haunted, and asked for help. This is magic. This is the good shit, man. This is gonna churn in the back of my head for the rest of my life kind of shit, man. I live for this. He accepts. Is that our first episode? Is that the... I feel my love is supported by the depth of the wounds I must atone for. Totally static ED. Just one picture. Okay, that was simultaneously one of the most unique and strikingly familiar things that I've ever watched. Incredibly unique because what a voice, what a clear, like, artistic vision and a clear, particular perspective. And what familiarity, because so much of that voice is found elsewhere in Shinbo's other works. There is a pervasive feeling of Madoka Magica, otherworld, witch space, creepy dolls world going on, and a consistent feeling of, oh, you're a demon on fire running toward a girl who you care about, who's symbolic towards something that you don't really understand, but you're trying to work out. And also, you're just a guy and just sort of a boring kid, but also an inheritor of a grand curse and like endless agony and shit. And there's complicated depths going on in the soul of the person. You can really see why Nisio Isin picked Shinbo to direct Monogatari. You could see why, like, I mean, there's a direct line. You can just draw it from the scenes that are happening here to Kizumonogatari scenes, the scenes that are happening here to scenes between Senjogahara and Araragi, like direct lines. It's amazing. It's almost like, as opposed to looking at a particular work of art, like looking at an artist's portfolio is what this is like, or like a demo reel. You know, in a strange way, knowing that this is its own piece of work, that this is a separate piece of art, it feels like it's partly a demo reel. It feels like it's like, hey, I'm Akiyuki Shinbo, and this is what I can do. And it boots me. Wow. Okay. Stunningly unique and simultaneously very familiar, but none of that actually says anything about what is particularly going on here. So there are some particular things that I want to try to highlight. Lenses and mirrors on an obvious level, in that there are often lenses and glass and mirrors and things in frame demonstrating and changing the scene framing our characters and stuff, and also in a less obvious level where it's just that we're in strange perspectives. We're in fisheyes. Like, here's a very obvious perspective. We're looking at everything through the reflection of these sunglasses and not understanding who is behind them, like multiple layers going on. And then there are a bunch of strange angles that are like, there's no person there seeing up from here. There's no camera there either. Like, how are we here and why are we observing from here? It's because we're observing from like 12 different places at once, and the timing by which we snap through those different places gives us a weird feeling as our brains take over and try to make space out of what we're seeing. They give us this weird feeling of connectedness, this feeling that this is all one space. And by having some of those pieces be jarring and be wrong and be from off angles and be mysterious and be like hiding the faces of the people that we're actually looking at, we don't get a very good map. We don't get a very good map of the region, but we still get this sense that it's real. Our minds want to close it all together and fill in all the gaps. And so we create this space that, if you actually ask me how this space works, I don't really understand it very well. There are definitely some people sitting and eating food. There are some kids outside the window looking in. It's raining outside. There are these like diner booths and stuff, but I'm not exactly sure who is sitting where or where in the space they're oriented. It's all kind of a confusing mishmash, almost like a dream. Almost like a dream, and maybe that's the point. There's a disconnect from this world. You get connected to a world when you just see it all, when you get that establishing shot. And it's sort of best practice in film and in comics and in all sorts of media to give us an establishing shot so that when we go to these more cut-in shots, we know what's happening, right? We understand where these ladies are sitting and where those guys over there are sitting and how the whole place is organized and where the little girls looking in from outside are. They're over there through the window and the counter and the cashier is over there. We don't get any of that. It's just mysterious floating around in space. And I think that's really strongly intentional. I think that is dripping with intent. We're not supposed to feel attached or comfortable or like we understand what's going on. We're supposed to be honestly on edge, I think. On edge and looking around like, okay, what the fuck is happening? What weird thing is going to happen? Where's the mystery? There's something else that happens here is that all of this strange framing and weird horror aspect is happening around entirely mundane stuff. Like, yeah, why are we doing these weird close-ups and these strange sequences when what's going on is that it's raining outside and there are flowers and there are a bunch of people sitting around in a diner? What's going on here? Well, we're detached from it at all. And we're trying to let you know, your subconscious know, that this is not going to be about normal people sitting in a diner. If this was a cute girls doing cute things show about normal people sitting in a diner and eating cute diner food, we'd be showing the whole diner and we'd know exactly where everything is and we'd be excited about it. We're showing nothing and we don't get to know anything and it feels weird and wrong. So why does it feel so weird and wrong when it's so mundane? That's the point. That juxtaposition of the mundane with the strange and the fascinating is the point. And it's what makes me feel that we're in the visual language of what would be the literary language of Edgar Allan Poe, where we're just doing normal things. And why do I have this pervasive sense of dread? Why is it that I've spent 3 chapters just meeting all these people in this house? And yeah, it's like an old house, but it's a nice old house. And I feel a pervasive sense of creeping dread, like the very vines on the walls are going to strangle me, like the bricks of themselves are laden with something mysterious and malicious. Why do I feel that when I look into the darkness of this hallway, it's not just a dark hallway, but a cavernous maw waiting to pull me in? How do we get from normal to spooky, to genuinely spooky? What is it that changes your hallway in your house from being fine when it's dark to being not fine when it's dark, when the night is just a little bit spooky and you're home alone and you actually kind of gotta like shut those lights off and run away? What makes your brain fizz into that spooky space, into that space of like, there are predators out there and I don't know what they look like. I just hear strange things, and I know that they want to eat me. How do we evoke that in us intentionally? I don't know, but I can point at it. I'm not Akiyuki Shinbo. I'm not a genius who just like knows how to orchestrate things to make that happen. But man, when it's happening to me, I can point at it. That is good emotional manipulation right there. We're in the most mundane of circumstances, and I'm here like shitting myself because something is wrong here. And we're not even really expressing that like wrongness yet. We'll get there. All we're expressing in these first moments is detachment, separation, not really listening to what's going on. And it goes so far as to when this conversation like really starts happening, like we're not in it here as he's waving, he's elsewhere. When we get closest to it, we're not in it. And then a little bit later, when we actually contact him, when we actually communicate with him, when we actually snap him out of it, we go even further away. We don't suddenly snap into it and then cut to the table and then introduce our characters and have each of them do something that's their thing. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. We're not here. This is not what our story's about. We cut away when our character is snapped to attention. Hey, you were there, so you heard him too, right, Ari? And we're in this salad bar. We're looking at the lettuce. And the sound too. The sound design has our characters' voices way in the background. Way in the background. Honestly, as though we were listening to a different conversation in the foreground and those were background voices that we're supposed to ignore. Because this is all background. This is all, like, floating non-reality. Because the only reality that matters is staring into the glass. It's like this weird, mysterious OnlyFans girl. Holy shit. Okay. The portrait of Petit Cossette is ahead of its time. This is really about detachment from reality and getting entirely wrapped up in social media. Bing, we got it. It's not. But man, there's something about the love, care, connection through another spirit to somebody who doesn't even exist that really rings as something important to be witnessing here and now for me and for people in the modern age. But it's always been a kind of an image, this idea of like falling in love with a spirit, falling with a ghost, or being entrapped by a curse. Of love being this force that is outside, that just needs to be reckoned with in a kind of proto-rational way, in a kind of almost religious sort of way. It's like, well, there's God's will and there's love, and they might as well be the same things, right? That's how things go. And you just are in love with this thing in a glass. Thing trapped behind glass, maybe. But he can't be there with his friends. He's elsewhere. Elsewhere. Sorry, my fault. But he's just smiling. He gets called out, and it's right. He's right. You're in love. We cut to flowers, and we cut away. We, like, pull away from this again. It's so interesting. And then he brushes it off. I lied. I love these backgrounds, the colors and the spaces that are used as landscapes and backgrounds. They produce so much emotion. They're so evocative, and they make this jump into artistry and jump like so far into theme and idea space where color is telling our story, and the things around you, it doesn't matter what they actually look like, it's what they feel like they look like. Where you open a door and there's no light anywhere, and still your shadow stretches endlessly, and that tells you something. I love it. It's utilizing the whole of the visual medium and the human brain's ability and weird inability to turn off the need to gain information from it, to like extract meaning from it. It's using that and manipulating it to show us information that we can't otherwise get, to enrich this piece of storytelling. That's mostly mystery, that's mostly told in between the spaces, it's mostly in between the things that are said or the things that are seen as you're putting it together. It creates a space to play in, a space to play in psychologically, to jump into and be like, where the fuck are we? I love it. I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm a little bit obsessed. As we jump from that moment to rain, glass, going. Signs, kids, and everything is off. Everything is always off. Faces are always strange. And you want to transition from one location to another? Do it with a creepy Yuki Kajiura vocal choral harmony. Suddenly sucks you into grandeur. Again, in the midst of mundanity. We've got little kids crossing the road on a rainy day and cars in a city. What could be more mundane than this? But it's transformed into a journey to another world. It's transformed into a, I don't know, a welcome to the abyss. I think it's awesome. I think it manages to genuinely capture Gothic. I can think of very few pieces of anime that have captured Gothic. A lot of them are episodes of Monogatari. I kid a little bit, but no, Shinbo is really a big contributor to the ability to represent Gothic. Then you get Angel's Egg, okay? Definitely Gothic. Hits the same note, but what else? Not much. Not in this way, either. It's cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it really does. It manages to be really interesting. There's something about, like, clarity and fuzziness, almost like bokeh fuzziness, like blurry a little bit, that feels like there's a distinction. I guess it's caused by the rain, but a lot of these landscapes feel very blurry, and a lot of backgrounds and a lot of spaces feel very blurry. And then there are some very particular moments throughout the episode that become clear, and our faces and lines and jaws become crystalline and clear. It's almost like the painterliness of this portrait of Cossette that we get at the beginning, or the many Cossettes, and this slight fuzz that we have to everything here in all of these moments, versus the moment when we actually hone in on his face and we're clear, right? We're like, our lines are clear. As high end as our 720p can be, this is clean. But a lot of the episode is not clean. It's fuzzier. It's grittier. And I looked at multiple versions of the video in order to determine which one seemed like the most like unfiltered to me. This one did not feel filtered to me at all. It just feels the most like representative of what the media is supposed to look like, as far as I could tell. And still there are these elements of like a difference, of a separation between these fuzzy scapes and these very clear moments. I'd like to keep that in mind moving into the future, because all this rainy scape is so unclear. Symbols. Oh man, all the symbols, all these painted eyes. Like, why does he have all these painted eyes and faces? I have no idea. But man, they sure do create an incredible set of images. Who is this portrait? Why does it look like him? I think that's just a coincidence that it looks like him, but what a thing. What a coincidence. What a strange thing to choose, and what a way to tell a story. What a strange visual to bring up. And here we have him running against cityscape spaces that aren't real. Like, this is not a real landscape. This is just visual space, like drawn space. We know that's not real. Even as we're in reality, we're in Tokyo. Not even to get to when we jump into unreality and we start floating around in CG weird landscapes, right? We're already in an unreality. We're already in the same space that Kunihiko Ikuhara Kunihiko Ikuhara uh, uh, occupied for a number of different series, where we have our characters rushing through spaces that tell the story for them. And the space is acting as our window into the emotional landscape of the character. Because we can't hear the character's thoughts or really see through their eyes. So instead, we see around them, or we see them reflected in their surroundings. I think there is a great deal of that here, and a great deal throughout the rest of Shinbo's work, which helps me really piece together who Shinbo is and how he sees. I think it's really cool. This whole shopping center we get to see in a whole bunch of different ways. And it has these sort of butterfly mosaic stained glass elements to them. I wonder if this is a real location near where Shinbo lives, that has significantly influenced his perspective on these kinds of spaces, because that particular image is represented so commonly in Madoka Magica and a number of times in Monogatari, and then really continuously throughout this episode. I'm really curious why that image resonates so strongly with Shinbo. Is it just because we're looking through glass and therefore having a structural element that's big stained glass windows or big stained glass roofing features makes for an interesting landscape element for that? Or is it more than that? I don't really know, but it's really freaking cool and I really like it. Tangled webs of cables and pipes all holding up these stained glass things that change the light that's coming through and make it this multicolored extravaganza of pastel strangeness. Serial Experiments Lane can eat its heart out. Like, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is doing that same thing for me. I think one of the great things about Serial Experiments Lane is its use of civic infrastructure as emotional touchstones. Especially, I always think of wires in the sky, landlines, and telephone poles, and buildingscapes, creating this sense of alienation and loneliness in mundane space by making those mundane spaces seeped in blood red or strange colored, or just putting a hum or a Yuki Kajiura fucking song behind them so that you're watching them and going like, I know what those look like, but those look like creepy forests now. I know what those are, but those look like something mysterious now. Fuck, it's cool. It's cool. The whole episode is dripping in that shit. It's just like, it's raining style all over this episode. So here's Fuzzy Fuzzy. Truly painterly, right? We're like intentional Renaissance, intentionally painterly, and then finding these frames that here we've framed a small Japanese like shopping center in the same way that we would frame a big alley in Paris, right? In fact, I think there is a particular triangular alley in Paris, and there are a number in other cities, that's really famous for being shot and drawn like this. I can't find what I'm looking for. I know that I'm looking for something, though. It doesn't really matter, because I think you know the kinds of, like, sketched landscapes or painted landscapes that I'm talking about of city streets, and this brings Tokyo there, or wherever we are in Japan, there. We're in Renaissance Europe in the middle of Japan. That's fucking interesting. That's so strange, and it continues this pattern of strange mishmashes and juxtapositions. Bing. The only thing besides those glass structures with bright, fully saturated color, like in the whole episode, besides our titles and stuff, right? Everything is somewhat desaturated and mundane, like real looking. Like real looking. It's got that grit to it, right? It's got that grime to it. Everything does except the one thing that cuts through the glass. It shines perfectly. And he speaks to it. He speaks to it, and we go around and we're just looking at glass. and then seeing through glass. And jumping from there to elsewhere. We keep jumping uncomfortably, and it makes me uncomfortable, and I think that's the point. We jump uncomfortably from scene to scene, and again, we're left sort of with our feet kicking, trying to fill in the gaps, trying to put it all together, trying to create a viewpoint on this sort of bug's eye. We're getting all these little pieces. We're always disconnected from the people that we talk to. And I don't know exactly what it is about how we frame them or how they look at us or don't, but we're always disconnected. I always feel separate from them, alienated, really sincerely alienated through the visuals. There's never shot reverse shot. There's never any sort of standard flow in conversation. That's a part of it for sure, but man, there's a bunch more. And I think we get Shinbo's capacity for creating spaces like this that are very like rigid and patterned, and take up the space behind a character in a way that that occupies it all. I don't know. It's just very rigid with all the ta-ta-ta-ta, and it reminds me of a bunch of Monogatari with like windows, frame, block, 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 block. And then on this other side, we're seeing through the glass, and she's like haunting almost. Beyond disconnected from her, she's offset all the time, and like we almost kind of are like pushing her out of the frame. Oh, it's you, Mataki? She's trying to be nice to him, and he doesn't really care. He's pretty ambivalent toward her. I guess when he apologizes for her being a guinea pig, it's because he wants to see if somebody else drinking from it would cause them to see something strange too. Like if that's what would link them. I don't even know what this image is. Is this her moving with her hand? And so we're seeing the shadow on the wall as the shadow is projected and moving, but we're also honed in on the glass as though it's not moving. It's wild. Wild camera tricks. And we haven't even mentioned camera tricks, even though we already had the looking through the glasses thing and the zoom in and out through the glasses where you find out that you're looking through glasses, and camera tricks are wild throughout this. Shinbo demonstrates a true capacity to use the medium of animation and the expectations drilled into us by the medium of film to fuck with each other. That's the potent stuff. Because you see people in like original anime original shows doing interesting animation that is stuff that could never be seen outside of the bounds of animation. It's like, okay, could never shoot this with film. That's very anime. That's fucking cool. And then you get stuff that's filmic, that uses the language of film cameras, which I think this very much does, and then just fucks with it a little bit. So your whole brain goes 98%, everything's going fine, and I know what I'm looking at, and 2%, wait a second, and then we cut to the next scene before you get a chance to figure it out. Those 2% wait a seconds really build up on each other and create a weird feeling that things aren't right. I think that's another layer added on top of all the other things that he's doing to create this weird feeling that everything's not all right. And when you get that many layers together, it just becomes expertise. It just becomes masterful. And I think that's what we're looking at, is just like, oh, this is a master at making things feel really weird. How does he do that? I'm working to try to unpack some of it and try to like make conscious those unconscious effects that are happening on me. But I'm really just enjoying experiencing it too. And everything she does, there's a reaction on the inside of the glass. Oh, this moment. Whoa. This was so jarring. The combination of the strange ethereal audio in the background and the low conversation, we just have this makes me also want to push her out of the scene. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. true, you're not into girls anyway. Okay, there isn't enough in the text for me to guess at this, but here's my guess. This girl is self-conscious about her own appearance. That's why she has the interactions with other people thinking that they're really pretty and being like, so many pretty people around, and thinking that it's a dangerous place. And she has her, like, she's got dibs on him in her own weird, fucked up internal world, right? She's like, that's my boy, and he's going to fall in love with me or something. So I think her rationale is that he's just not into girls, and that's why he hasn't jumped her yet. And she's always pissed that he's ignoring her and stuff. I'm not sure. I think that's the expectation that I'm getting from it. And is therefore somewhat jealous of this potential that there's somebody else in his life. She's sitting, and we see Cossette there, I guess. Even though this version of her doesn't really look like the one that we meet. I guess that is the age that she was when she died and the portrait was made of her. So we're seeing through the glass all of her life. And we see this moment where she's sitting here and she's sitting here and we've turned her on her side. These are beautiful moments, but the facial expressions are strange. It's hard to animate these kinds of facial expressions without them becoming a little ethereal and weird. But I think that's the point. I think one of the things that we've done, I think one of the most brilliant things that has happened in this episode is that we have harnessed a bunch of the flaws of animation. A bunch of the things that animation can't do. Can't do without it being weird. And gone, okay, you do that and it's weird? Great, let's make it weird. Animation in 2004 can't transition between 2D and CG without it being weird and fucky and strange and obvious. Okay. Well, that's really useful if we want to be weird and fucky and strange and obvious. If we want to be a little bit more, like, normal and then have a shift where everything changes, we don't have to invent a new art style in order to get everything to change. We just make it CG, and it'll feel like everything fucking changed. We want to see this sequence of expressions from this character. We want this detachment from her. We don't want them to feel real. Well, we can do real expressions on real faces, or we can do these sort of fluid, doll-like expressions and have them shift in extreme detail in the way that makes your eyes go like, oh, I recognize that's animated. It's not real. It's weird. It works. It works. It works. It works so well. It works so well. This is a thing that is not without flaws, but for the most part, it has harnessed those flaws and utilized them as something new. I'm a little bit in awe. So why the phone? Why observing on the phone camera? Is it because this is his experiment? I suppose. I think this might be my favorite frame in the whole episode. That's so silly because there are so many beautiful and interesting frames, but I really like this. This is a classic piece of art. This should be on walls everywhere. They should be making reproductions of it. You get me? Like, this is beautiful. And that kind of individual piece that sets things from one to another, or is just set in between, or set as a background, is throughout this episode. Throughout the style of this OVA. Okay, so this must be when we acquired the objects. We tell it out of order, and without ever introducing us to the time frame change. But looking back, we can understand. Everything has a soul. This one sure does. We hold here, I really like this frame as well. The bamboo just gently blowing. We talk obtusely about things instead of talking about them directly, which does more of that, like, painting out the edges of the space and letting your brain fill in the gaps. Like, oh, this is a world where people are psychic. And, well, actually, the real world is a world where people will purport to be psychic too. But this world might actually be psychic. Like, there might actually be something going on here. But you're filling that all in. It doesn't tell us that. I wish he'd stop showing up in the shower. Okay, that's a little bit more straightforward and direct. Kind of implies that maybe these psychic occurrences are like normal and actually real. It makes us wonder, are we in a Natsume Yujincho world where there just are actually spirits and some people can see them? And it refuses to answer that question. It just goes like, I don't know. Welcome to the world. It's just as mysterious as it could be. Have fun. That's enough in the real world to get people to really believe in mysteries. So why not here? Why not across the screen? More so, much more so. Okay, Girl of the Deli has a sixth sense as well. Is that who we've seen? I don't know. And a vague warning, if you try, it'll be no joke. What does that even mean? I don't know. So, Yu comes over. She takes care of the rest. What a cute girl, but she's pissed about it. Huh, okay, I'm putting it together. And then we see through glass. We hold and we see through glass and through a different glass. Reflections, with the ballerina right next to them, too. Different people playing different parts. What a cute girl. Okay. Normalcy, and then we're through glass. Making huge amounts of money. All the good-looking people. And yeah, we really get to see like ugly human real jealousy here. And we frame it from such a strange angle. And he ends up caught off guard too, and on an offset angle as well. Until the glass almost falls. But it doesn't break. But everything is wrong. And it is so striking and so fun, this like... And God spoke and was like, do not drop that fucking glass on the ground, bitch! Okay, God, jeez. His obsession revealed. There's something so Edgar Allan Poe about this moment, where someone is like wrapped up in this complex around something completely mundane, and then somebody threatens to overturn it. It's like, no, you must not. No, don't touch the basement. There's nothing weird going on there. No, don't touch the basement. Nothing strange at all. It's like, oh man. that heart be telling tales, you know? And there's this moment where he speaks. Yeah. And it's so fuzzy. We've gone so far back from clarity, from knowing who we are or what's going on, and so close to that demon that we see at the end, that's this representative figure. Right here, it might as well be the same character, right? This moment of, and it ends up being so strong and evocative and really punching in the emotion for me. I think part of that is because it's vague. And I think part of that is the masking effect. Which I do this frequently enough, but I'll do it again. Why are we so involved in the universality of the cartoon? The, like, simple smiley face that's got so little information. Scott McCloud puts forth the idea that we spend our whole lives observing others with clarity. We see their faces and we can read really vivid, detailed expressions from them. We don't have a very good view of ourselves. We just have a general idea of what we look like. As I'm looking here, I can see myself in the camera's screen, right? And I can, like, see myself. But if I sort of close my eyes, I've got, like, beard stuff around here, and there's, like, lip things, and there's, like, a schnoz right over there, and some eyes. And as I make expressions and stuff, I generally understand that my lips are turned up, and my cheeks are, like, tightened. My eyes are closed. My nose is scrunched up, and I'm like, arr, arr. But what my actual image of myself, like if I turn my face into like a mask of rage, or great happiness, I've got like a very, very fuzzy sort of line drawing, and even then more fuzzy than that image of what I actually look like in those moments. I've got an impression, a smeary, blurry impression. So when I see a really clear picture of somebody else enraged and their mask of rage and stuff, or you're looking at me and I've got that, I actually look like that. You see somebody else, somebody separate from you, and you're like, you can understand what feeling they're feeling. You're like, that's rage. That's what that looks like. But it doesn't do that thing where it goes, that's me. That's what I look like when I'm raging. That's what I feel, and I feel it now. Because the crazy thing is you can mirror it back and forth, and it can make you feel it. But how do you make you feel it? You use that mask, that blurry image that's closer to your actual representation of self. We show you that, and you align with it more, and feel it more, and are more attached to it. Just like you are with a cartoon character or an anime face. An icon, a representation. I think this does the same thing. By obscuring these features, they become more you. Not more real, but more you, more me, more whoever's watching this. I'm that person, and I'm feeling that moment of bubbling rage when you say something that maybe you'd regret, and you speak in anger when you're not one who normally does. Who's that? Who's that person under the surface? What part of your shadow has been triggered here, and why aren't you aware of it and in control of it? Cool. Cool. Also, how the fuck does that tie into the whole demon shit later? I don't know. I wish that it did. In fact, I would say that might be the only thing that I would even consider in the ballpark of a flaw that hasn't been harnessed for this, is that it's a little vague. It's a little vague. I want these mysterious stories to end up at a point where I can be like, the symbol of the demon within him, that's a symbol that I can get behind and like understand how it interlocks with the rest of the story. And I'm not there yet, but we're only on episode 1, so maybe we'll build those symbols out to be more coherent. As is, I think there's something maybe powerful in being able to relate to them as fuzzy feelings, as strange things. There's maybe something more accessible about that, and after all, that is something that Shimbo wanted to accomplish in this series. If it had broken, there'd have been no way to fix it. It'd just about amount to murder. Okay, man, that's crazy. It's the kind of thing when somebody says something that's just a little bit off, but it is that important to him. Just one glass? And then there's this moment, all these flashes, as though, again, God has struck or something has changed. Like, the spirits are angered by this. And this woman, who's drawn with great clarity, I would say, this fortune teller who is elsewhere, reacts to it. Where is she? Is she out there? Is she there? I don't think so. Is she? Who is she? I don't know. And then we have this scene, which is beautiful and strange, as they tone back down and she apologizes. Our shadows are the ones watching in the background. And I don't know exactly how to characterize it. Are they the ones talking? Are they watching and observing? Or are we watching these characters drop back into persona after this sort of explosion of the unhinged? Drop back into persona, put on their masks again, keep the shadows where the shadows are, and speak politely. That's what I feel here. As she puts it together and puts her mask up of being hurt by this, against being hurt by this, tries to understand what he's saying. Okay, I understand maybe it's merchandise. If it had broken, it couldn't have been fixed. And he does the same. I'm sorry I yelled at you in spite of myself. And our bond is healed but we're still behind glass. Did something strange happen, huh? And she doesn't even know what he's asking about, but he does. I think it's because he had her drink from it, and then it wipes away. Warbled behind strange glass. I gotta go back. Okay, hold on. So we're here. Hold on. Is there a moment of shadows before this? No. Okay, I want to see the whole scene. Here we are. We're looking through glass from the side, through a curio cabinet at these two, the doctor and Mata, and her. Okay. Shoko, want to stop by my place? Sure. This is the aunt, who owns this place and runs it, clearly. This is all thanks to your efforts, Kurahashi. And then she's pissed that there are so many beautiful people. This environment is dangerous, and she takes out that pissedness on him. Don't tell me you're actually going out with somebody. He's caught off guard, and from that point, we're sort of stuck in fuzzy. That's how I'm seeing it. Okay, we see through the glass, we knock the glass over, and that's where we hit here. Eyes, insanity, boom, 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 bang, bang. And then the moment of rage. Fuzzy and far away and through glass. Both of them are expressing hurt. Third-party tarot reader. We come back to, and we bring it back in. And here, their shadows are on the wall, but they speak with grace toward each other and with apologies. Both of them apologize for almost breaking the thing and for speaking out incorrectly. But neither of them really says, we don't really get at the root of the thing, right? Because what she's actually worrying about is that she's in love with him, probably, and she's worried that he's interested in somebody else. And what he's actually worried about is that he actually cares about the glass, and he wants to know if somebody else does too. He wants to make it clear that it's not to be fucking broken, it's important. But neither of them can speak on that, really. They just speak the polite version of that. And then we end up behind glass again. In fact, we're in this fuzzy space way behind, right? We have this one moment where there's clarity in this sequence. Hey, Mataki, we have clarity and we're looking eye to eye. We're actually addressing the person, right? Hey, and actually looking at them. And we do the same on the other side. Didn't something strange happen? It's like shocking. And then we're back behind the glass. Never mind. This one moment of connection is all we have. Holy shit, I'm so glad that I didn't miss that and just blow past it. We have this shadow play, and then glass is between us. And it's between us. Just the way that, like, beams between characters in a big scene, but we're doing it outside of scene. We're doing it through flow and time because that's Shinbo's way. Stuck behind glass. Hey, Mataki, what? Didn't something strange happen? There's this moment of connection, looking up, connecting. And then this moment, she's caught off guard by it, and she doesn't even get to answer before he puts the glass back up. Whoa. No, not really. Nothing serious. Whoosh. Yeah, nothing serious, bro. Just, like, the craziest experience ever. Totally different visual language here in this next set of scenes. More blurry, more painterly, more artsy, stranger, more disconnected from reality. And then to frames and mirrors. But this, now we're back in time. Now we're back in time to when he acquired the glassware. Okay, because we're out of time. We get to see this space. I wonder if all of these posters and, I guess, album covers are real album covers. It's really curious. Why are they all eyes? Like all in one eye is what they're about. What's up with that as an image? Why has that been chosen, I wonder? I don't know. Retail price of $4 million. Fuck. The flashes to caution are so Monogatari. It's like, wow. It's like meeting an old friend. And the glassware shines. And the eyes see through it, it seems. And we are pulled into this beautiful, incredible, strange landscape that makes no sense. Makes no sense, and then hits a CG version of that landscape that makes less sense because it makes some visual sense to us, like, oh, this is space, but we're floating around arches that have nothing to support, and paintings that have no wall upon which to sit, and strange statues, and strange panels floating in nowhere. And that's dream sequence stuff, right? Like, that's exactly what the Unreal should look like in my mind. CG is a perfect medium to use. So again, we have this set of choices that actually manage to capture weirdness and turn it into something really beautiful, that make us feel disconnected and alienated and strange about the way that all these strange scenes look. Let's go! Victory, success, mission accomplished. So he begins to become overtaken by these thoughts and images, and everything is warped and lensed, changed and shifted, and your man is just sat in the darkness, obsessed with this glass. Everything has a soul. I must be going crazy, but I'm strangely drawn to it. Oh, nothing shows up on my cell cam either. Not scary, instead, he's fascinated. It pulls him. He wants to experience this space. And let me step back a second. Can't we all relate to this? There is something about this that we can't ignore. And I mentioned it offhand as like, haha, he's in love with an OnlyFans girl. Okay. But the obsession with a picture, right? How many people over history and time have found themselves enamored with an image of a person? And then you come to 2004 when this was made, and the otaku era has happened. Like, for decades, people being obsessed with a girl who doesn't exist, like literally doesn't exist, who is fiction. Happens. Well aware of this, like well known in the general consciousness. So you create this artistic representation of a boy falling in love with a vision of a world through glass. And you set it up as this piece of Renaissance art interrelated with Renaissance art. Oh, shit. Set up as this piece of Renaissance art. But it's also deeply modern in its sense of examining this weird psychic entanglement that happens. Because there are people who become deeply obsessed with a girl who doesn't exist at all, or with an idea of someone, like an ephemeral image of the divine feminine puzzled together and cobbled together from childhood stories and pieces of like semi-sexual interactions and missed connections and missed moments and dreams and desires, all cobbled together into this image of a love that isn't. But has weight. Because psychologically, those things have real weight. Those attachments, those dreams have real weight, and they have to be, like, dealt with if you want to live fully as an awake person, I think. Like, you can... okay, I'm not basing this entirely on myself. Some of this is based on personal anecdotes and experience, and some of it is based on what I've read of the psychotherapists regarding these sort of imagistic representations that have to be honestly dispensed with if you want to love somebody for real. That's the context that I've seen this come up with, and we talked about it a little bit in ReZero when there was a period talking about, like, man, you must really love the image of me that you have in your mind, as opposed to, like, really loving a person. The difference between that and loving some representation of them, some idea of them that's your image. There's a step further, though, that's like, to love that real person, you have to not love the person that you think they are. But to love any person, you have to not be in love with the myth of what a person is. So, like, if you're going to love a woman, you have to dispense with and kind of kill the myth of woman in your mind. This image that is partly your mother and partly all the girls you've ever met and partly all the porn you've ever seen and partly all the movie representations, all the literature of girls, because none of those things have almost anything to do with the actual person who's standing there in front of you. So there's this ghost almost who is a bit amorphous, but in some sense in some ways, in some people can be very clear as a particular perspective of the kind of person they want, the kind of person that they want to be interested in. But that's not a real person, right? The flip side, the joke of this is, like, the 6'2", blue eyes, in finance banker guy, right? Like, that perfect image of guy is going to keep you from ever being able to date a real person, because that image, even if you met somebody who checked all those boxes, they would uncheck a bunch of the other boxes that you didn't know that you had in your representation of them. You have to dispense with this whole representation thing in order to interact with people wholeheartedly and really. So there's something to this pining for something beyond, this infatuation with a ghost or a spirit, because this spirit of a little girl is a perfect love who can never spurn you and, like, never grows old, never, like, loses whatever ephemeral beauty you're obsessed with. There's something about this image that's meant to be the compelling image, and in some ways is meant to maybe represent the anime girl, right? The girl beyond, who you can't really touch, who doesn't exist except behind glass, who makes you ignore the real women in your life who are actually interested in you, who brings out this obsession and this strange internal psychic journey in this man. A journey that it turns out is cursed into him and inevitable. I don't know. I don't know whether to read it as psychic, as of the mind, or as romantic gothic, as, like, a story being actually told. I don't know. It's both. It's all of that. It's layered. I like it. I like the layers. But he finds this obsession with this girl who doesn't exist, and he's obsessed with drawing her and bringing her to life and with, like, protecting her, and has real, like, well, he's got real limerence for her. Real limerence, a state of mind characterized by intense infatuation and obsessive longing for another person. Distinct from love or lust, as it hinges on uncertainty about the other's feelings. Exhilarating but also painful. There is something that reads as very limerent here. This would be a cool show to watch with like, one of the psychic guys, you know? Today is the 7th day. What are you going to create? And it's unclear whether he's talking to himself or to the glass. There is a doll. I was wondering if we were going to do, like, a little doll awaken sort of thing, but I guess not. He's content to just sit and observe and watch it. For hours and hours, the time slips by. Again, very Poe. Our shadows we're again clear, I guess, but our shadows feel wrong and warped. The lights go off. So this is the 7th day. Boop, boom. So I think using heartbeats with the train lights, just incredible. Just incredible. Mundane as can be, except a floating glass. And one of the strangest sequences that I've ever seen, full stop. Like a dissolution into light, and then a jump to this other time and place. A murder scene that reads very much like a piece of Perfect Blue, that takes from great direction in order to create a very spooky sequence that reads, I think, perfectly. I don't even know how we've done it, like what exact dials we've changed to change our color scheme to this, where there's still color, it's just really, like, really desaturated or really light. It gives the feeling or impression of being in black and white film without actually being. Why? Why are you going to kill me? But I love you. I love you too. Cossette. I gotta say, just in this scene, I think one can call this as Shinbo. Just from the flashes to like impacty black red, to the slow press of the blade, to the way we pull out and blast to blood and cover everything over. I think you can call this as Shinbo. I don't think there's another director that this looks like. And that's cool because this you could tell me was Masaaki Yuasa just before it. Because it looks like that scene from Perfect Blue and it pulls from there. But this is so distinctly Akiyuki. It's really stunning to realize how much of, like, the world of animation has been shaped by a couple of particular people. How much of what things look like is one person's idea of what things look like. So that's his spirit. His ancestor. His destiny. His blood. But no, you didn't kill that girl, not quite. So, in this moment, not knowing that, only seeing what is seen, we have this little girl and a different girl. A Japanese girl, I think. A real girl, I think. Who is really here, I think. Asks him to drink this, a goblet of blood. You have that right. How has he earned that right? By caring for the glass, or by delving in and wanting to know? But he's given an ultimatum. And forced to make a choice without all the information, the way we all have to, all the time, have to make a choice without all the information. If you do not want us to be apart, not knowing what this means, really, but if you don't want to be separated, if you don't want to lose the chance to know, drink. So take on this contract, this important step, but you don't get to know what it's actually going to mean. He chooses to do it anyway. That's how I'm reading it. Maybe I'm reading it that way because it's how I need to formulate something. I'm staring down life choices. When some of them are around love. And a choice to love. There's so much that you can't know. There's so much of the future that ends up inevitably unknown. And it feels like sometimes you're called to make a choice like this. Not out of love or compassion, but out of a fear for losing the chance to experience those. There's something strange about that because fear is the antithesis of love, and the two should not be able to interact together, but they do. So much of our fears come from love or are born around it, so I suppose it makes sense there. But the choice, if you do not want us to be apart, if you do not want to lose me, then drink. And this is a character that we've never seen. Right? Like this, if this was Cossette, this gothic Lolita blonde character that we've seen before saying that, it would make perfect sense. If you do not want to lose me, if you do not want to be apart, you have that right. Drink. Instead, it is entirely a mystery, an unknown. So life has struck you with here's the framing that I want to use or be interested in using. Life has struck you with the unexpected and has offered you sort of a one-time pass through a door to the unknown. And you can stay where you are or you can step through that door, but there's no going back. Do you step through the door? Do you drink the blood, take the contract, make the deal, live on, try to understand? In Araragi's case, it's a life thing. It's very interesting to me that they're so similar, though. Do you drink this blood? Do you embrace the horror of it? The loss inherent to it? Airi says yes, and he drinks. How that will influence me and my behavior is yet to be seen. I don't know if I'm going to drink. I'm scared. We're back outside, and it seems the rain has gone. This character looks very much like that one. Is she the one at the deli with the sixth sense? I suppose. She comes and looks for him and finds him, but we never really see them together. We see this other person. A surprising number, as these people are observing ghosts, I think. Spirits, I think. I'm better off not seeing it anymore. Snap. So this man comes and buys it. Sketchy, sketchy. Man, again, the fuzziness, right? Like, nothing is clear. Everything is off. Or through glass. Major 30% discount. Sketchy and sketchy. Then there's a painting. A door in the back. Cossette. Marcello Orlando. I've heard about him somewhere. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. I take this as all the spirits gathering together and leaving with the antiques. All following all this curse. I don't know who this is. Actually, perhaps is she the girl? The mistress? I don't know. But we end up really, as the episode progresses from here, really jumping into like spirit strange space where this little girl actually appears and is suddenly there on the floor amidst this mansion. And suddenly our character is struck and shocked and feels that he cannot leave her here. And then this space is intruded by this sexual woman who reads here as a problem. We have frames where the ashtray is the sink, is the drain, right? Where things become other things and become meshed together. She hates being called a child. And he hates leaving the girl. She's so bright compared to everything else in the scene. Brilliant, like glowing. And we leave her. Gothic and Lolita. I don't know why we're doing fuzzy wuzzies here and sparky barkies, but they sure are interesting. Our episode gets more and more visually strange, more and more trapped, more and more confined. But he holds the glass. The pages flip, and he can't help but look at her. And then we go elsewhere. And I don't know why we get this grain filter over everything. I don't know why we come here and make it this way. I think he actually goes to the real house where he left the curio cabinet and left her. I think he's really there breaking in. But maybe it's just happening in Dream, because it seems like it's just happening in Dream. The two of them fall and just die. The lights go out. Who are you? Who are you? The blood fucking flowing from everything, moving everywhere. And her reflected in each of the bits, each of the panes, each of everything. The cross over the eye. Like a nuclear blast test of emotional energy, of spirit. I think that's exactly what we're going for here. And then he gets pulled into that warped spiritual place. The blood coagulates into a face and pierces him. Is it the same blood that he chose to drink before? I think so. So it's not a grudge, a curse, I'll be killed, but instead the connection to this place, I think. Stop, please stop. And it's her face everywhere, just looking on impassive. And he grows devil fangs. This is wild. So this is quite a shift. Very interesting to know that they were planning on making something Devilman related and ended up here. Also really fascinating that this is similar to what's going on in The Soul Taker from 3 years before, and similar to what ends up going on throughout Monogatari significantly later. Very strange. But he's pierced by the blood and awakens a demon. A monster who rushes out through the flames for her to attack her? It's unclear. And what is that thing? I don't fucking know. Oh, it's the candelabra. Is he reaching out for her to kill her? To save her? He ends up pushing right through. She's gone. And hovers above. And we have this frozen moment where everything holds in negative, black and white negative. And as though it's already like a ripple that's expanding outward, the glass comes toward us and takes over the space. Oof. And then a flash of that skull at the end. Before we end up in a very strange landscape of very weird shit that goes even further beyond the strange CG scape that we were in to weird gothic pools of blood and hyper cemeteries with floating shit all over. now we're in that Madoka dream space, like death beyond whatever the fuck this is. And I think it's awesome. I again think this is incredible. I think that this matches the sort of ethereal strangeness that like domain expansions did in Jujutsu Kaisen last year. And this is from 21 years ago. And I think just the visual capability of the artists working on this and the willingness to experiment with and utilize new mediums that look strange to make scenes feel strange makes this a knockout. Like, what a fucking cool set of images. What a fucking cool way to show us something, to create an emotional experience, even one that doesn't make a lot of sense. Searching aimlessly for someone who would make the contract, who would bring deliverance to the souls of the cursed antiques. And that someone, I don't know. She says this man's soul is full of malice. As their sword-like curse, the antiques, devoured the curse, his soul full of malice, devoured the curse and became a demon. So he, a man burdened with genuine sin that is out of his control, like he didn't do, but is his like ancestral sin, which has deep Christian, like deep Judeo-Christian, like original sin sort of leanings to it, which is interesting and something worth looking at. There's something very valuable about that framing of like all humans are flawed, all sin is built into you, that's inevitable. Here we get this metabolism of it. Like his soul full of malice and awfulness was capable of overwhelming and consuming, devouring, engulfing these curses of this energy outside and turning all of that into this demonic presence that's now locked into this crucifix. An irreparably stained, wretched demon, which again very much fits some Christian rhetoric. It's like, I am a sinner who cannot be cleansed, right? And it is only through the grace of something pure, a grace of God, that there's some kind of cleansing there. Here, there's something similar. There's like an irreparably stained, wretched demon who only through the contract with this symbol of clean, angelic youth can produce something else. And that's the same fucking thing as Monogatari, where you've got this stained, demonic Araragi who is half of these things and is also in a soul bind with something else, right? This is interesting, like really fucking interesting. What? Don't torture my heart. Don't torture my heart. What sin am I guilty of? Is it wrong to have feelings for an illusion? That's the only sin that he's committed, really. I think we should take this seriously. Is it wrong to have feelings for an illusion? That is the cry of the otaku. Right? Is it wrong to have feelings for an illusion? Maybe. It does seem to destroy people, but it also seems to bring great joy. But that's not the sin that she's interested in, is it? We bind this cross with threads in front of the glass to fall in love with something that is not human, and it ends with this, and he's ready to curse the world for that, it seems. And the blood bursts forth, blows her cloak back. You will not even be allowed to run away if you have feelings for me, for my sake. Maybe there's something to that, too. You can't even run away from those limerent feelings. Or maybe it really is a curse. Frozen, bound by these thorny wires, this demon reaching for her sheds its shell and becomes him again. He drops out of this space. I don't want to be apart from you. I don't want to lose you. And the bones, the demonic form is shattered. It's just him. There are skulls behind her, but light flows down. We pull out far enough that there's no nudity here with the nudity. And I think this manages to walk that line really effectively, because I don't think there's anything sexual or titillating about this. I don't understand why it's there without that, but it's like, it does evoke a feeling of weird, romantic, like strange imagery and gothic nude angels and stuff. There's something vampiric and demonic and devilish about her, and also angelic and pure. And in this landscape, she shines like a beacon of purity off of her skin. And I think that's why we're doing it this way. I think it really works for me. At the very least, it is evocative and something is evoked. And that thing is neither disgust nor sexual, like, titillation. So I feel the need to mention it because I think this is the kind of thing that a lot of people end up finding a reason to get turned off by, and I don't see the reason for it. This feels artistically valid to me, I guess. There's such daggers in her eyes, like such condemnation in her stare. And as she draws this line in space, and he bleeds from the chest, you must not run, no matter how painful it is. It is condemnation. She's looking at the soul of the murderer within him that's sort of like bound into him and is a part of him. She pulls it forth, and there's this moment where she bites her finger. It's really, I think it's really stunning animation. Character work. Pulls forth this horrifying black sludge. And when it's being pulled forth, she smashes into him as though glued in by it. I was killed by that man, the one that you saw in the dream. The antique's souls bore a fierce hatred, and due to that they have brought misfortune. It was an intolerable pain to me to have killed you. That's what he said. And when the man is reborn, they appear and attempt to possess the man to kill him. His voice again, because I love you more than anyone else. So this obsessive, intrusive, passionate love leads a man to kill her. That event causes the souls of the antiques to become cursed and hateful, and they emerge and attempt to kill him when he is reborn. And he has been reborn in 80. So we awaken here, and he is crying amongst his cross of blood. And we see him reflected in her eyes, and then in light, and then in blood. It's all right now. You don't have to cry for me. Good night for eternity. But he doesn't want to let her go. This place burns. And I think those people die. I had to bring that wretched man back to life. You who have a duty to atone. Help me. Help me. And he agrees. Now with the story kind of known, he agrees. Okay. But he already drank the blood without having known. That's the part that stands out to me, is like, without the story being fully there, he still drinks the blood because he's obsessed, right? Because he's in love. He's willing to take that step into intimacy, perhaps. It's strange for me to read it that way, but it is the way that I'm reading it as it like is reflected into my own life. There's this threshold. I said it before about the door, but there's this threshold, and beyond that threshold is real intimacy. Like really getting to know somebody and really sharing in their pain and yours. And you don't know what you're signing up for when you sign up for that. If you did, you couldn't sign up for it. I think what's happening is that I'm finding myself on the other side of that, having made that contract in some way, having made the choice to step beyond that initial threshold of not knowing, and I've reached the other side, and I've reached the knowing, and now I'm uncertain. And I'm not certain that I'm able to be like Aerie here and say, okay. And I think that's killing me. I don't know whether I'm making the right sacrifices. Whether I'm deluding myself. Whether I'm in love with a real person or an image of them. And I'm honestly quite tangled up in it. I don't think this has helped. In terms of like, oh, I've come to a clear answer. But maybe it's helped more than I know. Aerie says yes. And so our story begins there. But it began before that when he became enamored with the glass. And it began before that when he drank the blood. Who was the girl that wasn't Cossette? Who was that? I don't know. He says yes to this strange journey and this strange attachment and this unknown. That scares me a lot right now. But maybe it'll give me the courage to say yes myself. Or maybe it'll help me realize that I already have, and this confusion that I'm in is just part of being past that threshold. I'm not sure. Either way, I had a hell of a time jumping into and watching and observing and examining and really being in and soaking in this first of 3 episodes of Le Portrait de Petit, a 2004 show by Akiyuki Shimbo and Studio Daum. I really fucking enjoyed it, and I really hope that you did too. I'm sure that you have other reads on the symbolism here, and I would love to know about them. I would also love to know more interesting stuff about the production of this, and if you have any anecdotes or stories about how you experienced this for the first time, this piece of media for the first time, I would love to know about those as well. Also, if you have thoughts on it, or it's influenced you, or any of the things that I've talked about evoke some like memory or particular anecdote or moment from your life that feels important to share, I would really encourage and ask that you do so in the spirit of maybe there will be someone who reads that, self included, who will take real value from it. And I don't know if that will happen, but sometimes it does, and sometimes people share really interesting things that they've experienced in relation to shows like this. And I would just encourage you to, if that's you and you've got something that you're hesitating to share, to do so, because it might make all the difference. Thank you for watching me watch this weird OVA from 21 years ago, and I hope to catch you next week when we dive into episode 2 of the same weird OVA from 21 years ago. I don't know what the future will hold with Retro Monday OVAdrive or Mondays in general, but I'm looking forward to getting started again, doing something. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience. I'll see you next time. Peace.